Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Had issues with audio earlier, so hopefully they're resolved by now. Um, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing good. Um, Welcome to the channel. And today is a lot of political news, right? There's a lot of political news across the board, right? There's a lot of political news that we should be listening to, that we should be definitely listening to. Um, where has Kamala Harris been, right? A lot of people saying that she was devastated with her loss. She thought she had won, and she thought that she had a high chance of winning. She had, the interesting part is that she had raised a lot of money, the most expensive presidential run in the history of the United States. She had celebrities endorse her across the board. She had almost $1 billion in funds, and somehow she was still not able to win against an overpowered Donald Trump, right? Bernie Sanders told them to move to the left, to have a populist message, to talk about grocery prices, to talk about inflation, to talk about how high the prices were, and how she was going to actually improve the the whole situation, right? Um, she Some people say that she actually participated in um, in trying to negotiate with dissenters within the DNC, the people that didn't like her stance in Gaza and the genocide, and for her to acknowledge that there was a genocide happening in Gaza, and also for her to allow pro-Palestinian protesters and pro-Palestinian movement leaders into the DNC and allow them to have a platform to address the delegates and speak to the delegates. But she was not allowed to speak to the delegates. Any of the leaders were not allowed, even though behind the scenes there was a private meeting, and in the private meeting they had agreed to allow the pro-Palestinian movement, right, to actually have a voice that day, right, in the DNC and have people seated because remember, there was a lot of pro-Palestinian protests going on across campuses all across the nation, right? In every college campus, there was so many protesters, right? So many young people that were supporting the pro-Palestinian movement. So instead of accepting them and accepting the dissenters to the DNC, Um, stories are that the mega donors of the DNC said no, they didn't allow it. And also, when Kamala Harris tried to move to the left, they also said they wouldn't allow her to move to the left, right? They wouldn't allow her to move to the left and have a more populist message. Bernie Sanders had meetings with Bernie Sanders had meetings with several leaders in both parties, right? And Bernie Sanders had personal meetings with Joe Biden himself and let Joe Biden know, hey, you need to address the economic needs and economic issues that Americans are having. If you address these economic needs, the people will come and the people will vote. You will be able to attract the young people, the Gen Z, the Gen X that are frustrated by the economic system that does not allow them to own homes, does not allow them to fully participate, as opposed to the baby boomers, the young people, it has become extremely hard to own a home, right? It has become extremely hard to own a home, to be part of the political system. It's just a fact. And so to ignore the plight of the young That was a large, extremely large voting bloc. So I'm not saying that it's only foreign policy, it's also ignoring the voters and not wanting to hear the voice. You're listening to consultants that are in their 70s and the 80s that don't really have the pulse on the ground, right? So when Donald Trump said, um, we're going to lower the grocery prices, we're going to lower gas prices, this is what people wanted to hear, even though he's a billionaire and he was never going to do it, right? And instead, they said, all right, embrace the pro-Palestinian protesters, embrace the left flank of the party, bring them in because they will vote Democratic. Instead, they said, oh, let's embrace the never Trumpers. Let's embrace the Liz Cheney. Let's embrace the all the people that were flipping on the Republican Party. But those people, remember, Republicans most of the time will stick to Republicans. To get them to vote Democrat is almost impossible, right? They're not gonna switch their ideology from one day to the next. They might say yes to you. They might say yes, we're gonna support you, but for them to switch is very hard, right? And so a lot of young people stayed home, unfortunately. The message turned people off. They came up with an economic plan that was like 85 pages long. And in that economic plan, how many people you know are going to sit and read a textbook on a dense economic plan? So it wasn't really decided by the voters, but it was the messaging that the Democrats failed to bring. And the mega donors were scared of being pushed out of the party, so obviously they pushed for the interests again. So Kamala Harris is like re-energized herself again and is now starting to get involved in politics again after being defeated. She was shocked, she was upset, she didn't want to have anything to do with politics. Once she was embarrassed by Donald Trump, which she thought was an easy win for her, which she saw the writing on the wall and she said that Donald Trump was dangerous for America, but she was unable to galvanize the majority of Americans to vote for her, especially in the swing states, right? So let's listen to what she has to say.
Your openness to talk to the American people. As I said in introducing you, you and I go back over a quarter century.
Yes.
And if there's anyone that has had open communication, is you and I. So are you going to run again in 28?
So, here, okay,
I tried to be subtle, but I just figured I'd go right
well,
at it.
that's as subtle as Reverend Al Sharpton could ever be. We love you for many things, but not being subtle. Listen, I might. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
Your openness to talk to the American people. As I said in introducing you, you and I go back.
So what do you think? In your opinion, in your honest opinion, do you think that Kamala Harris should run again? Be honest. Do you think she should run again? Put it in the comments. I want to display your comments. I want to see how do you feel about this? Or should we give a AOC a chance? Should we do somebody different, new blood? Because I feel that once a person loses, it's hard for them to win again, right? I know that she had a really, I know we had a she had a really short time to prepare her campaign, right? She didn't prepare her campaign 2 years before, 1 year before. Donald Trump was campaigning ever since he lost in 2020, right? He was campaigning for all those years. he was promoting his campaign. He was promoting his ability to come back, right? He was really pushing himself and pushing people to support him. He 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 didn't stop campaigning for many years, and a lot of MAGA and a lot of his base are disappointed in him and war, right? Him and war. But, however, I want you to understand that there's a reality, right? This is some more of her speaking. So criticizing Trump, and it's like, where have you been? You got had difficulty and you had difficulty and then you disappear off the face of the planet. I understand you need a little vacation and you're devastated, but you have to show grit and determination, right? That's something that you need to show, right? Donald Trump did not stop. I could say I'm not a Trump supporter, but he didn't stop campaigning. Even after a devastating loss, he kept going and he kept rebranding himself and kept showing the American people, I mean his base at least, that it was worth supporting him again, right? He kept calling out Biden. He kept calling out Kamala Harris the whole time that he was out of office. And a lot of people said it was not presidential, like he wasn't following, tradition by doing that, because former presidents don't criticize current presidents. But he didn't care. He continued on his path, and in this path, he was able to come around and beat Kamala Harris, right? He was holding rallies. He was holding all types of rallies in different states and swing states. So he didn't give up that easily. So some people say he shouldn't give up, she should keep fighting for the presidency. She should keep fighting to become president. But some people say, hey, maybe she didn't like attract enough voters. Maybe she wasn't what people wanted, right? So do you think that people want her now? I mean, she already lost. Will she be able to galvanize people to the polls? Let's listen to what she had to say about Donald Trump.
The man said he got rid of their nuclear arsenal. Obliterated it, he said. You know how he likes to use those kind of words? Obliterated it. Which is not an ambiguous term. That means you took it out. Well, evidently he didn't do that. He is causing U.S. service members, 13 to have lost their lives, hundreds, it is estimated, of others to be injured, some very seriously, putting U.S. service members at risk. Abandoning alliances. He's been pointing fingers at NATO. The man said he got rid of their nuclear arsenal. Obliterated.
So now she's actually openly criticizing Trump, actually willing to pick the fight with Trump and stepping in and saying, hey, I should be the front runner in 2028, right? So now she feels like she should be the front runner in 2028 and allow voters to support her. So, I mean, how do you feel? We need a stronger woman, Miss Janet says. Well, what do you mean by stronger women, right? Because there's always a double standard. If a woman's too strong, she's a bossy lady. They call her names. they say that she's too strong, right? Like Hillary Clinton, they called her too strong. But now we have Kamala Harris, and they're saying that she's too weak or criticizing her stances. But was she spot on in telling us about Trump and what he plans on doing and the things that he plans on believing in? Did she foresee some of Trump's um, tendencies? Did she warn us about the possibility of having a person that would cause harm to the country? Did people forget about January 6th? Did people forget about January 6th and how he had an insurrection? Um, did people forget about that? Right? Did people forget about that? So she says she's thinking about it, right? She says she's thinking about it. So, so I mean, what's your opinion? So 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 whose fault was that Kamala Harris lost the presidency? She punts and she says a lot of people are saying it was the DNC, they were running the show. But my question is, why did Kamala Harris allow the DNC to run the show? That's my question.
2024 election. But after giving its advice, the group is now accusing the DNC of covering up what it found. Last year, DNC
Listen to this.
afternoon to you, a pro-Palestinian advocacy group says it helped the Democratic National Committee examine what was wrong in the 2024 election. But after giving its advice, the group is now accusing the DNC of covering up what it found. Last year, DNC leaders pledged to release the so-called autopsy report. They wanted to make it public, but that never happened. The DNC later saying if they released the report, it would be a distraction from its core mission. The Institute for Middle East Understanding telling Axios the vice president's support for Israel was a factor in the party's losses. As Axios points out, progressive and moderate Dems are particularly divided over Israel, with the left more critical of the nation's actions against Palestinians in Gaza. Out on the campaign trail, then candidate Kamala Harris was repeatedly interrupted by pro-Gaza protesters, and even since then, on her book tour, pro-Palestinian activists have disrupted her events, including a stop in New York last fall.
What's happening right now in Gaza, what is happening to the Palestinian people is outrageous and it breaks my heart.
Today, a second group has called for the autopsy report to be released publicly by the DNC.
So is it that a lot of people stayed home? Was she not strong enough in fighting the powers within the Democratic Party and letting them know it's her campaign and she's gonna run it however she wants? And she should have taken a stronger stance against dark money and power brokers in the Democratic Party. So is that showing a failure on her part? Is that showing a failure on her part? Comment below. Let me see what you have to say. Let's keep listening to Fox News and autopsy that says that caused Harris to lose. Has she shifted her positions on Israel? Has she shifted her position on the genocide in Gaza? Has she shifted? Is she willing to shift? or will she keep taking the same donors' money
See,
and
the
keep
DNC has been
running the same campaign that she was running before? Because it seems like she's just following the same trajectory, which is a losing path.
insisting that that's not going to happen. But of course, pressure builds, anything could change. Sandra?
All right, Mark Meredith with that for us, live out of Washington. Mark, thank you.
So you think that Kamala Harris has what it takes within her to win? I mean, she's a smart woman. She's intelligent. She had many degrees, right? She had many degrees, and she's a lawyer. She was a prosecutor. Um, and so maybe MAGA attacking each other will be beneficial for Kamala Harris. But will she be able to jump on and drive the party more left? Will she be able to drive the party more left? Is she willing to drive the party more left? Or does she still want to use a third way approach of moving to the center, which was a resounding defeat?
Years, I've already told my audience, if I were a Fox News anchor right now, I'd know exactly what to do. Cheerlead. Cheerlead. That's it. It's all about rah, 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 go military. That's what's patriotic. Praise the president, support the troops, support the war, day in, day out. I mean, this morning, who do they put on? Mike
Megyn Kelly.
Pompeo to kick off the day's coverage. Lindsey Graham all over Fox News over the weekend. That it's utterly unhelpful to go like today. Obviously, I've come out and said how I honestly feel because I owe that to my audience. But today we're going to have both sides on to help people actually make up their own minds. You will not find that over on Fox News. They've got one mission, and that's to support these military groups, the military itself, and President Trump. It's just folly. It's folly, Saurabh, and it's a fool's errand.
So she's saying that all these groups, Megyn Kelly's turning on Fox News, right? So would these mouthpieces be the ones that would be supporting um, Kamala Harris? Would these be the mouthpieces that will help Kamala Harris? Because I think that she should go left, right? Maybe not, don't go and try to get Republicans to support you, but support universal ideas, support universal health care, support affordability, support affordable daycare, support affordable housing. Stick to that. Don't just stick to uh, criticizing Donald Trump, talking about Donald Trump. Stick to your platform. Stick to speaking about what's important, right? I mean, that's just my opinion. The American people don't want you to. They know deeply Donald Trump's faults. They know that he's in the Epstein files. They know that he is. Um, they know that he is flawed. So this is another breaking story. They're saying why Melania Trump. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Harris, but why Melania Trump is actually doing what she's doing. Why she came out ahead of the story. She had breaking news. Brian Kressenstein. I can confirm with 99% confidence that the reason Melania Trump came out yesterday with her Epstein statement is because of the information possessed by a former friend and her my former friend, an Epstein survivor, Brazilian model Amanda Ungaro. Ungaro was also the partner of Trump administration official Paolo Sampoli, who she alleges had her deported. They have a son together. Paolo Sampoli also claims to have introduced Trump to Melania. Amanda is a victim of Epstein's and was brought to the U.S. from Paris by her modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel when she was 17. She had a 20-year friendship with Melania. Remember her name. You will be hearing so much about her in the coming weeks that Trump will likely nuke Iran over it. So can you believe that? And then
the Epstein files.
and then Alex Jones went off and decided to say it's true. Alex Jones decided to say it's true. So everyone knows that President Trump is flawed. He has a lot of flaws, but now is attacking his family. And so at this point,
That have been released over a period of time. It's an email, I believe, from September 20, October.
people might want a clean slate. They want somebody that doesn't have dirt on them, that doesn't have all these things on them. But I don't know if Kamala Harris will be the answer, anti-Trump or the anti-establishment candidate, right? But the DNC will support her. The DNC will support Kamala Harris because she never pushed back so hard against them. She's willing to play ball with them and do whatever it takes to be elected on their terms. So I'm sure they would love to have her run again, even if they lose.
2002, an email that she is alleged to have written to Ghislaine Maxwell, the partner of Jeffrey Epstein. It's an email in which she writes to Ghislaine, "Dear G, how are you? Nice story about JE in NY magazine. You look great on the picture. I know you're very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you're back in NY. Have a great time. Love, Melania." So says that email from 2002. Now, Melania Trump is saying in this extraordinary live statement from the White House that she is not associated with Jeffrey Epstein. She never has been. She never went on his aeroplane. That he had no part in her being introduced to her future husband, President Donald Trump, essentially totally disassociating herself with Jeffrey Epstein.
Here she is talking about, oh, I had such a great time with you guys in Palm Springs, Florida. I had such a great time. Can't wait for you to take me there again. You're so amazing, Ghislaine. You're so beautiful. Now, this is the email that obviously the Israeli operatives and the globalist operatives is the first one they put out. You know there's more. You know this is blackmail of Trump. A day before she went public, not telling Trump, he confirms that. They put it in the press. She gets pissed and gets ahead of it and says, stop the cover up, have an investigation, it's real. Contradicting her husband, the President of the United States of America. And of course, we know she's telling the truth because we got all the damn emails and witnesses. It's horrible.
So she's saying it doesn't exist, right? It doesn't exist. The Epstein files, right? That's not what Trump has been saying all along. The Epstein files don't exist. They're a hoax. There's no such thing. And not now she comes out and says there is such a thing as the Epstein files. But I'm not part of it. And there's other people that are part of it. and there's other people that are covering it up. There's other people, but not me. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of the people that are covering it up. So Kamala Harris has been quiet on this, right? So so now Laura Loomer says President Trump just said that being endorsed by Tucker Carlson is the kiss of death, right? Being endorsed by Tucker Carlson is the kiss of death. President Trump just said being endorsed by Tucker Carlson is the kiss of death, right? So he's been obsessed all day with trying to discredit former MAGA people. All day, all weekend, all week, he's been attacking former MAGA people, people that got him elected, people that helped get him elected. And his whole coalition is falling apart, right? His whole coalition is falling apart. And so now Kamala Harris decides to come out from the weeds and now decides to start attacking Trump. I guess she sees a moment of vulnerability. She sees a moment of weakness. So she is all of a sudden came out from wherever she was and now decided to start attacking Trump, right? So President Trump just said being endorsed by Tucker Carlson is the kiss of death. It's true. Be warned. PSA to everyone running for president in 2028. In other words, you're playing with fire. In other words, don't look for Tucker Carlson's um, favorability. Don't ask for his endorsement, because the moment you ask for his endorsement, you're gonna lose if you're running for president in 2028, right? So he's already talking about 2028 elections. Paul Dance has just dropped out of the South Carolina senatorial race against the great Lindsey Graham. It all started to fall apart for Paul when a very low IQ individual named Tucker Carlson endorsed him. The kiss of death. Lindsey has a big lead and is on his way to a spectacular victory because he just gets things done. President Donald J. Trump. So Trump is saying, hey, I'm more popular than Tucker Carlson. I'm more of a kingmaker than Tucker Carlson. Don't ask for his um don't ask for his endorsement. Don't do that. Because if you do that, you're asking for the kiss of death. Thank you for joining me, everyone, on uh, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Twitch, and Substack. I appreciate you all. I really do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. Let's keep talking about the politics that affect us today and every day. I keep being told, why are you so political? Why are you getting so involved politically? And my take is that in the end of the day, a lot of things are political. Most things are political. Everything we do involves politics, as much as we don't want it to involve politics, right? So thank you for joining me, especially the people on X. 12 12 people watching on X. YouTube, 2 people watching on YouTube, and Twitch, 1 person watching on Twitch. I appreciate your support. I really do. And on TikTok, we have 5 people watching on TikTok. But we'll get these numbers up thanks to you, the community, right? And I just saw that um then Nassar, let me see. I just saw an announcement that our team is 2 is gonna do a splash landing. It's coming back to Earth, right? Which you have to ask yourself, right? Who who's gonna invest in science? Who's gonna invest in science? Which of the candidates are gonna invest in education? Which of the candidates are going to invest in life, right? Okay, so we gotta play this. I'll play our team is two right now. Let me just play this. So Donald Trump, another person that Donald Trump has been attacking big time, has been Candace Owens. He's really been attacking her like there's no tomorrow, right? So she felt like she had to defend herself. She's feeling like she really has to defend herself, right? So what did she do? She released a video in response to Donald Trump. She said she calls it an open letter to Donald Trump. Let's listen to it.
Hopefully these words will get to him. So I'll just say that. Dear Mr. President Trump, I've always been a fan of gladiator movies. I have watched them all countless times. Everybody who watches this podcast knows that. And when I consider what it is that I am so drawn to, like, is it the actors? Is it the storyline? Yeah, in part, of course. Who could deny, like, the performance of Russell Crowe in the first film? But above all of that, the characters, the script, there sits this sort of incontrovertible truth that I am absolutely fascinated by, which is the fragility of empires, right? What is it ultimately that collapses an empire? What makes an emperor weak or an emperor strong? I think more to the heart of the matter, the question is, what is it that makes a king or an emperor feel threatened initially, right? The setup of every movie is always the same. You have the wealthy elites, the politicians perched above a coliseum, slaves fighting to their deaths beneath, all for their distinct entertainment, obviously. And then comes the inevitable narrative flip. Suddenly, the elites and their scribes and the senators, they perceive a threat. And when does that happen? That's actually not a rhetorical question, Mr. President. I know the answer. It is when a slave begins to command the crowd. Every single time, without fail. That's when the politicians begin to feel worried. And what is of particular interest to me about that moment is that the slaves, on their end, they never desire the seats of the politicians, right? They just want to have their most basic needs met. In most circumstances, they'd happily would serve some sort of structure of governance forever if their basic needs could be met, but it's proven to be a historical impossibility, right? Inevitably, we arrive at the moment of political extravagance, the fabled let them eat cake moment. They just can't stop, right? There can be absolutely no truth between a master and his slave for that reason. The nature of the relationship forbids it. And I think about this a lot now, very often, mostly.
So she's like kind of saying what Alex Jones was saying, that MAGA is a cult and that MAGA is against the American people, that power has gotten to Donald Trump's head, that she really believed in him and believed everything he was doing. And then all of a sudden, power went to his head and he became a king and he became like a gladiator in the gladiator movies. And so this is the problem. We need people that are strong, but we don't need people that are too strong and don't want to listen to anyone's opinion, right? We want people that are going to listen to other people's opinions on the world stage. That's not going to get bloodthirsty, not be like a thirsty vampire looking for blood and trying to, wipe out anyone that opposes him,
In
right?
the context of our late mutual friend, Charlie Kirk. I think to myself, when was the exact moment that Charlie Kirk understood that he was not free? That he had money and that he had fame, but he did not actually have freedom. Between you and I, whoever it was that made the decision to kill him, was correct in their assessment that he was indeed a threat, because Charlie Kirk could command a crowd. He was capable of that. So much so that he actually, if you think about it, he's been dead for 7 months and the crowd still moves on his behalf. That's incredible. That is real power.
And Josh, I agree. The tide is turning, right? People don't want, he says, no more corporate Democrats and Democrats taking bribes from AIPAC or any lobbyists. Exactly. The tide has turned. People don't want corporate Democrats. They don't want people like Hakeem Jeffries. They don't want people like Chuck Schumer that just go where the wind blows, that have allowed Donald Trump to do whatever he wants and had just stood by. Look at the world was almost destroyed with the threats of Donald Trump. And where was Congress? On vacation, taking pictures in Disney World. They saw the pictures of Rick Scott in Disney World. They show the pictures of AOC in a Yankees game. They show pictures of all different types of candidates. And I don't mean to criticize AOC, but I'm saying because she's been one of the ones that has been speaking out the most. And so they didn't never even call Congress into session when the president imposed a deadline that he was gonna wipe out a whole civilization. No one even stood up. So you're right, Josh. Sorry, Joe. Joe. Um, People are tired of corporate Democrats and people that take PAC money and forget about the people's interests, right?
Mr. Trump, you should ask yourself, how did he achieve it? I would offer it's because he never sat above, perched, looking down at the slaves, right? Charlie understood how movements were built and, more crucially, how they were sustained. Someone actually said to me shortly after his death that Charlie was a maestro. He understood that every instrument was needed to command an orchestra. The strings, the woodwind, the brass, the percussion, all very different sounds, but he could hear them each brilliantly, each section. And at various times, he would conduct one sound above the other, more flute, less violin, more cello. Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, different instruments, to be sure. But only a fool or someone under the express direction of one could have thought to hit send.
But she's responding to Donald Trump's tweet, Truth Social today, calling them losers and calling them all types of names. He singled out Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. He called them all types of names and said they were like traitors, right? And that they were dumb, they were low IQ, they were stupid people, and they don't have an audience, they don't have followers, and no one should listen to them, right? So, are they becoming woke? Is Candace Owens woke now? She's talking like a woke person. Is Alex Jones woke? And people say, what is woke, right? Woke is being aware of your environment, being aware of where you are, and trying to change things for the better of regular people, right? So now they became woke. Can we trust them? Because they helped elect Donald Trump. They helped create him. They helped him gain power across the system. So now they're upset. Now they're trying to bring him down. Now they were talking about invoking the 25th Amendment, right? They all called for Donald Trump for the 25th Amendment to be invoked against Donald Trump, right? They actually asked for the 25th Amendment to be invoked. You would have ever thought that they would do that?
On what you published on Truth Social last night. And I think that we should read it together, Mr. President, shall we? Okay, here's what you wrote. You wrote, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think It is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They are stupid people. They know it, their families know it, and everyone else knows it too. Look at their past, look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They are nut jobs, troublemakers, and they will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think they can get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them. And their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. Okay, let's park it there. Right? Let's just chew on that portion right there first, because it is a stunning break from reality. Because I'll ask the question, do you have any idea why it was, Mr. President, that your old tweets, the sentences you used to say, which were typically definitely insults back in 2015, but do you ever wonder why they worked? I can help you. Ready? It's because they were rooted in some element of truth. Okay. So if you called Rosie O'Donnell unattractive, or when you said Hillary Clinton should be in prison, it played to the crowd because although many people thought it was inappropriate and beneath the dignity of a politician, it was based in truth, right? Hillary Clinton's done some things. Now, you can call Megyn Kelly a great many things. I have definitely had my political disagreements with her over the years. Low IQ? Really? Tucker Carlson, low IQ? Me, low IQ? The three of us unsuccessful somehow? When you write stuff like that, you just demonstrate nothing but your own irrationality. It just doesn't land. Nobody cares about them anymore. Really? You're the leader of the free world and you're tweeting about us. I think that means somebody cares.
So he's watching their programs. He's watching their programs, sitting in the White House. Instead of paying attention to getting the work done, he's tweeting and he's watching their programs, sitting in the White House, fuming and upset, like how he could bring these people down that were his major supporters because they refused to kiss the ring and bow down to him. But can we trust them? Because they helped get Donald Trump elected in the first place, right? They helped him. They gave up their souls, and now that is true. What a lot of people are saying, like Kamala Harris was saying, now they want to backtrack and act like they had no role in getting him elected, right? No role in getting him elected. Now they want to clean their hands and act like they're innocent and act like whatever they did was inconsequential to the American people. And you can't take that back, right? You should just apologize and say, hey, you know what? I screwed up, right? I screwed up. And maybe I should have not supported him. So this is Kamala Harris when she had a debate with Trump.
Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch. Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes.
She has a lot of moments where she went right after Trump. But does Kamala Harris have the fire and the firepower to attract so many new people, to attract young people to support her, right? Would she be able to attract? So So this was, let me play a little bit of Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump's feud, right? They're having a feud too. So he's having a feud on several fronts with former Trump supporters, right? He's having a deep feud with them, right? Let me play this.
Fired from Fox and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. That was some of the nicer stuff he wrote. CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton is here right now. So the president attacking Tucker Carlson going after the president on Iran and other things. When voters were predisposed to like both of them, look at this. I suppose the question is, what do they see? How are they doing with Republicans and Republican leading independents?
Yeah, let's start off with Tucker Carlson, who has been in absolute free fall with Republicans. I mean, just take a look at this. Look at this trend line. Tucker Carlson's net favorable. Back in March of 2024, when he and Donald Trump were very close friends, look at this. He was at plus 54 points. Look at where he is today at only plus 7 points among Republicans, and that includes GOP-leaning independents. I mean, that is a drop of what, 47 percentage points. My goodness gracious, when you go up against Donald Trump and you want to appeal to the Republican base, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go on the grinder, and that is exactly what has happened to Tucker Carlson, who has absolutely collapsed among Republicans.
So if it is a choice between the president and Tucker Carlson among these voters, what do they basically say?
Yeah, they choose Donald Trump basically every single time. Look at this. Okay, the exact same poll, this UMass Lowell poll. Look at this. Net favorables among Republicans. Again, this is Republicans plus Republican-leaning independents. You see Carlson on the right side of your screen at plus 7 points. Look at where Donald Trump is at plus 61 points. And this is actually a little bit low for Donald Trump. In other polls around the same time, he was even higher than this. Again, he is crushing Tucker Carlson. What is this? This is a 54-point advantage for Donald Trump over Tucker Carlson when it comes to who is more popular among Republican voters. And of course, this isn't even just talking about the MAGA.
So Tucker Carlson is losing favorability. Is Alex Jones losing favorability? Is Candace Owens losing favorability? And people are leaning. So is it the ultra MAGA versus the MAGA? I don't understand what's going on here. And so does this create this rift and this fighting, create an opening for Kamala Harris to come in, right? Does that create an opening for a Kamala Harris presidency? Or does it create a rift enough for AOC, a fresh face, a fresh person to come in and take over?
Base where Donald Trump is running an approval rating somewhere between 97 and 100%.
Okay, So what does this mean for Tucker Carlson going forward? Say Tucker Carlson wanted to build some kind of a platform where he could run for office, say president.
Yeah, okay. So you see Donald Trump crushing Tucker Carlson here. Take a look at this. Look at the Kalshi prediction markets when it comes to his chance, Tucker Carlson's chance to be the 2028 GOP nominee for president. It's just 5. When you can put it on one hand, you know it's low. It's just 5% that Tucker Carlson actually has enough support within the GOP, at least those who are putting their money where their mouth is, to actually be the GOP nominee in 2028. Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance are running well ahead of him.
Okay, so again, in this imaginary world, if the prediction markets are wrong, Tucker Carlson were to become a candidate, how might he do?
Okay, why don't we take a look against the most likely Democratic nominee, Gavin Newsom? And this is, I think, so important because it's not just that Tucker.
So, according to CNN, they're saying Gavin Newsom has a chance to get the nomination, right? Like Gavin Newsom has the chance of getting the nomination. And Kamala Harris is saying she might run. So is that throwing a curveball into the whole calculus? So if it's, let's say it's Kamala Harris, um, Newsom, AOC, or JD Vance, Marco Rubio, and Tucker Carlson, who will win? I mean, it's crazy and bizarre that we're ready to talk about 2028 when we still haven't gotten through 2026. Let's get through 2026 first, with all the craziness in Iran, all the craziness in our politics, the budget that Trump released. Trump released an austerity budget that he's going to decimate social service programs, and he's already been destroying the federal government and government employment in the country. So let's keep listening to Candace Owens, right? And I'll come back to this poll um, that says that Newsom will win, but they didn't include AOC and they didn't include Kamala Harris purposely, right? So the media, the establishment always has their favorite, right? They always have their favorite person that they're pushing. And according to other polls, they show that Newsom is very unpopular among Democrats. He's very unpopular among Democrats. They don't want establishment Democrats, like my friend uh, Joe said. We don't want establishment people. We don't want people that are gonna keep going with the status quo and keep going with what has burned Americans and has caused us to have higher than expected inflation, which today was released, and inflation is up. It's way up. Prices are way up, including gas and energy prices. As I said, what happened, right? Before. So let's go back to Candace Owens and what she was saying, her rebuttal to the president's tweet. Let's just watch a little bit more, and we're gonna abandon ship and go to something else, right? We can't watch the whole thing, right? We don't want to give a platform to the right wing, right? But if they're reasonable, we can listen to them, but we can't trust them because we know behind the scenes who they stand for and who they will flip for, right? As soon as the pressure mounts, they'll be like, oh, we support Trump again. We worked out our differences, and we're now we go for another Trumper to, hey, we'll support Trump again, right? So that's the that's why I'm very reluctant to I'll listen to them, but I don't trust them, right? I will trust them. I don't trust them.
Actually, what nobody cares about anymore and what you seem to have an inability to comprehend is that traditional cable news no longer moves the needle. Cable TV is a dying medium. FDR, he used the radio, right? His voice, the fireside chats, it worked. It moved audiences when it was new. And when the world transitioned there, then suddenly it was the dawn of television, JFK's good looks on the screen that served him. And he used that. Once again, fast forward to today, and the world is technologically advancing. Yet you're launching insults at what you don't comprehend. Joe Rogan is not going to do Fox News hits. Do you understand this? He is not trying to get on CNN. None of us are. I don't know how else to help you understand. You are quite literally mocking people because they comprehend something that you don't. Tucker Carlson is more powerful than you. Deep down, I think you know that, and I think you resent that, which is proven by your next lines. Let's read on. You continue, MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Okay. Obviously, Tucker Carlson is in his prime. The whole world understands that. That sentence, he couldn't even finish college. Are you aware that your base is comprised of blue-collar workers who never went to college, many who never so much wanted to go to college, never dreamed it? The farmers, the ranchers, the plumbers, the electricians, the people who work with their hands, you now stick your nose up to all of those people? Do you know who else didn't go to college? Charlie Kirk didn't go to college. Also, those men, many, I would say, a lot of the men and women that you and Pete Hegseth want to send to their deaths in the Middle East, many of them, probably most of them, didn't go to college. And let me
Hegseth didn't go
be
to
perfectly
college.
clear here when I say that each and every one of them is infinitely more smart and more capable than.
Okay. Now you're like, oh, I'm defending the working class and I'm defending working people. Um, I don't understand you defending working people. So that's the question. Let's see. Do we want to listen to her? Do we want to keep listening to her? I'll give her a minute. I give her a few minutes, right? Let's go back to the CNN poll about Tucker Carlson. Um, and then we're gonna talk about a little bit more about Kamala Harris and her chances of being president, considering the fact that um, Gavin Newsom has been positioning himself, and also Pete Buttigieg has also been positioning himself to be um, uh, a college student, right?
Actually beat Gavin Newsom in this poll by 3. So Tucker Carlson, very much struggling, runs way behind the GOP baseline in the general election as well.
You pick Newsom because he's leading in some of these
Early
early polls.
He's the most likely Democratic nominee in the prediction markets at this point.
Interesting. Vance beats him right now, but Tucker Carlson, not so much.
Not so much. Not well liked among Republicans and not well liked, hated among the general electorate.
Harry Etten, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've got a lot of.
Imagine being
I
able
don't
to
know.
build anything just by thinking about it. Meet base.
Are they? I feel like they're pushing him so hard, right? They're pushing Newsom so hard. They're pushing this matchup, this imaginary matchup in their heads of Tucker Carlson versus Newsom versus uh they really want them to go against each other, right? They want each other to go heads up, right? They just want that so bad. And I don't know if that's the best matchup, right? I don't know if that's the best matchup, I'll tell you the truth, right? In my head, I don't think that's the best matchup uh, at all, right? And I don't think that's an unlikely scenario. First of all, we got to get through 2026 and focus on 2026 and challenging Trump and his administration now. We can't just focus on the midterms, right? We can't focus on the midterms only. We can't just focus on the things we want to focus on. We got to focus on the things that voters want us to focus on, right? That's what we should focus on. What do the voters want, right? What do the voters want? Not what we want. And this has been a war, right? Between um, there has been a serious war between the Catholic Church and the Pope, right? Or at least people claim it's been a battle, right? People claim it's been a battle. They've been denying it, right? They've been denying it, right? They've been denying that it's a battle, uh, right? Everyone has been denying that a battle has been going on, and the Pope has been uh, hitting back at Donald Trump, right? The Pope has been hitting back at Donald Trump. And so and so Trump is really upset, right? Because you know what got Trump upset the most? You know why Donald Trump got so upset? You know why Trump got so upset, everyone? Because they all, Tucker Carlson and all the people like Alex Jones lean heavy on having him removed from office. But remember, it's kind of hard for Kamala Harris to say, hey, Donald Trump should be removed from office because she sat by as she saw possibly President Biden not doing so well, right? Aging in front of her eyes. And she insisted that he was good to run again. And so now, how could she say invoke the 25th Amendment when they had the same argument uh, against Joe
He
Biden?
can't win. And the latest is his war on the MAGA media. Donald Trump has decided that Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones, the four people with maybe the biggest platforms in independent MAGA media, are now his biggest enemies. And of course, don't forget Joe Rogan, who is consistently bashing Trump, although he doesn't realize he made this all happen. But Donald Trump wants them to know just how upset he is. The man getting 25th Amendment calls from the people who he is attacking is proving how insane he is with his latest post that we are going to get into, because it is truly some of his worst work. It is long as hell. It is incoherent. It is ranting. It is showing us all why Donald Trump needs to be removed immediately. But it comes because Donald Trump is facing an onslaught of MAGA media attacks, the first of which I want to start with is Tucker Carlson, because Donald Trump did declare war on them all. But Tucker for a particular reason, that he's a phony and a hypocrite. But first, let's listen to his criticism of Trump.
One thing that every person knows that is, in a civilized country, you can't steal without penalty. It's not allowed. That doesn't belong to you. You can't shoplift. You can't rob banks. You can't embezzle. You can't invade countries to steal their stuff because they're all varieties of the same theme, which is theft. And theft is wrong. It's wrong under the American legal code, but it's also wrong under the Christian legal code. Theft is wrong. Spelled out really clearly. It's also intuitive. And here was the president saying, we're just stealing this because we can. Well, as a practical matter, that's quite a thing to say out loud, given that we know from history that the things you do will be done unto you. Once you set a standard, you will have to live by that standard. Write a law, you will be judged by that law. So if the new law is, I can take it because I want it, and I have more power than you, at some point, we can rest assured the tables will be turned, and the things that we want and cherish and have earned and that we own will be taken from us by force at the moment when some other power has more force than we do. It's really simple, sometimes called the law of the jungle.
So I wanted to start with what Donald Trump had to say about Tucker Carlson, and we will get to what Marjorie Taylor Greene also said about Donald Trump a little later in this video. He's certainly trying to go to war with her as well. But because what Tucker is referencing when he says that Donald Trump is basically the Antichrist for deciding that he owns all of the oil in Venezuela and that he can just invade a sovereign nation, Tucker is making that claim while also having had gone to the White House on the day he is describing where oil executives were all, patting each other on the butt and popping champagne. Donald Trump is so great.
Every Sunday night, he can't
They're
sleep.
always going to be
But not
supporting
this
Donald Trump,
Sunday.
right? They're always going to support him. They're always going to support Donald Trump and his because of his wild takes, right? And so let me just put a little bit of meat and potatoes. Just a highlight of the Candace Owens statement, and then I'm gonna move on from Candace Owens. Right?
And published on Truth Social last night, and I think that we should read it together, Mr. President, shall we? Okay. Only a fool or someone under the express direction of one could have thought to hit send on what you published on Truth
So
Social last night, and I think that we should read it together, Mr. President, shall we? Okay, here's what you wrote. You wrote, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think.
So she's not backing down. She's saying that she's not intimidated by Trump. She's like she's gonna keep hitting back against him, no matter what he says. She's gonna keep hitting back against him, and she's not backing down for anyone, including for Trump, right? So those are the hits, right? And so now this is Alex Jones going scorch earth on Trump, right? He's going scorch earth on Trump. And I don't know if it's gonna work. Does this create an opening for Democrats? The fact that they're infighting with each other?
Out of your mouth. And Laura Loomer, send him this, okay? One more thing. When I've gone through hell backing your ass because you were the cat, I'm just going to scorch earth Trump to get him back on track. Only way to do it is to go after him viciously. You've already shit all over me. And if you try to rub it in, I just, at that point, I don't care anymore. So if you think I've been coming after you, if you think that I'm trying to get clicks by attacking you so the Democrats that don't buy anything from me and don't like me want to put me in jail, if you think I've been on your ass, say one more thing. One more thing out of your mouth. And Laura Loomer, send him this, okay? One more thing. When I've gone through hell backing your ass because you were the lesser of two evils.
Only because he thought he was the lesser of two evils. So it's like he doesn't feel like...
Then I'm going to show you how to cow eat the cabbage. Do one more thing. You should be kissing my ass.
Oh, damn.
But instead, you shit all over me and rub it in. I'm not looking for a fight, but if you want one, you came to the right place. So, I'm like a rattlesnake. they're not really aggressive snakes. Water moccasins come after you and bite you. Cobras come after you. I'm like rattlesnakes trying to get away. I'm like, hey, leave me alone. Hey, please don't step on me. God, that really hurts. Please stop. Ugh.
Oh, man.
Oh, your daddy's over here. Let me step on your mommy. Let me step on your kids. And I'm just like, all right. I'm like Darth Vader looking at Emperor Palpatine, looking like Skywalker. I'm like, all right. I'm going to politically throw you down the reactor shaft in 2 seconds. And just, hey, does Alex Jones bluff? No, I don't. You think I'm intimidated by you, Trump, the president of the United States? Think I'm intimidated by your hit teams, all the rest of it? Whatever, man. You got God to deal with. I want to focus on the midterms, the Democrats. I want to promote what's good you're doing. And I want to be left alone.
Uh-oh. Crazy, right? So he's like, he's not backing down, even though Trump is attacking him. He's not gonna back down, right? Saying he's not gonna back down.
I have opened up my news alerts when your name's mentioned, and there's been 36,000 articles in one day about me. Remember all that? Again, AP's in 25,000, 30,000 publications. So when it hits, it'll say, 25,000, just one AP article will be that. It's like every day, 10,000, 20,000, 18,000. Some days, 36,000. Every nightly news show. Remember, I'm the devil. I'm hurting families of dead kids. All that garbage. There was 300 plus million off of charity saying I was victimizing the parents. I did none of it. No one pissed on their graves. No one came to their houses. No one did anything. It was just all made up. But they would say, he's the Sandy Hook guy peeing on graves. Trump runs him. It was to get Trump. So he comes out, as Mark Levin's already done. That's why I think Mark Levin wrote it. His word for what Mark's said in the last few months. This guy was terrorized the families of dead kids in Sandy Hook. He deserves to be off the air. He's a bankrupt deadbeat. And then I was reading him saying that last week, even a few days ago. I read this thing. It's Mark Levin, who's the main writer for Sean Hannity, and he writes a bunch of stuff for Trump. He's basically a speechwriter. He's on a terrorism task force for Trump. It's not about me defending myself. It's like this was the Paul Weiss law firm that sued Trump that ran all this. This is the Democrat.
Is it true? Is this bizarre? Is this crazy? What do you think?
Party trying to get me off air and trying to demonize me to hurt Trump, and Trump picks up their weapon system, their propaganda, and uses it against me. It's not the issue that he even attacked me. That's a side issue. It's that he is literally literally pushing Democrat Party talking points.
So he's saying he's pushing Democratic talking points, using the Democratic side to go against him and the Democratic media to go after him and try to bring him down further. And he's like, I sacrificed everything for Donald Trump. I did everything for Donald Trump, everything Donald Trump wanted. And instead, Donald Trump is attacking me and going after me. And so it's like he's putting an olive branch. Is he putting out an olive branch, right? To Donald Trump and saying, hey, let's end this, let's stop this, and let's work together, right? So, but once again, this is another guy that got Trump in power, that pushed hard for Trump, that pushed hard for people to vote for Trump, that pushed the narrative that Trump was going to be a hero, that Trump was going to save America, that Trump was going to put America first. And so now, can we trust his word, his actions, his decision-making ability? You push Trump on us, right? You push Trump on a lot of people. And a lot of people believed and trusted your ethics and your ability, right, to give us credible information. So how can we trust you as a credible source now, right? How can we trust you as a credible source when you threw us down a rabbit hole, right? And you push people to trust Trump. So, well, I appreciate you all. So let's hear this.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning? Good morning. Thank you. President Trump, how do you feel? President Biden? Well.
Our viewers here as they get the shot from inside.
Good morning, sir. How are you this morning? Good morning. Thank you. President Trump, how do you feel? President Biden? Well.
And so Biden was such a gentleman, right? He tried to do things the right way and try to honor the traditions of the country. And that might be his downfall, right? That might be his biggest downfall, that he wanted to follow procedure too much and follow the rules too much. And that cost him a lot, right? So these are the things that now we have to deal with, right? We have to deal with rising prices. You saw the report today. You saw the report that you saw the report, right? About Trump. I mean, of the inflation. And let's talk about the economy, right? Let's talk about the economy. So inflation rises to the highest level, right, in years, right?
We are here at the Gigante de Acero in Monterrey, Nuevo León. Here? Well, I think
So inflation has crept back up big time. Inflation has crept back up big time. If you haven't seen it,
what the Fed is looking at is they're trying to look through this supply shock and energy crisis and really what the underlying economy is like. They're going to want to see how
This
long this
conflict
conflict
lasts. I mean, the
lasts.
longer this lasts, the deeper into the economy these higher energy prices will flow. And we'll be looking at not just increases in headline CPI, but we could see some increases in core
CPI is computer
CPI
consumer
as
price
well.
index.
So they're going to want to keep their eye on that.
So core CPI, the core number of inflation, which excludes food and petrol, was
No,
sort of
consumer price
not so
index.
dramatic. But the main figure, the headline number, obviously includes petrol. And there we saw prices of gas was a huge part of that. How much of what is happening with Iran is that affecting what people are paying right now?
Oh, it entirely affects what people are paying right now. I mean, gasoline, energy was up just under 11% last month. Gasoline was up over 20%. So that is really
It's gonna
hitting
go up more.
consumers' pocketbooks, right? So that's going to affect how they spend elsewhere. And the consumer is 70% of our economy. We
Don't worry,
need
it's
the
gonna go up
consumer to
more.
continue to spend to drive our economy forward. And even at the last Fed meeting, in their summary of economic projections, the Fed actually increased their forecast for GDP for the year. It's ever so slightly, but still increased it. So they're still seeing growth in the economy. But we also know that these higher gas prices affect lower income households much greater scale than our higher income households.
I mean, given the importance to the US economy and also to the global economy of this ceasefire holding, you know, watching these talks this weekend, what needs to happen to keep markets calm and to, I guess, avoid a rough start next week?
I think there needs to be a substantial improvement in those talks and some concrete negotiations coming out of it and some answers. We really need that Strait of Hormuz to open. You know, one of the things in this CPI report that came out is we looked at food did not increase this month. It was flat. That hasn't happened since last April. We've had monthly increases in food all of last year. So this is important that we haven't had that affecting consumers. But if fertilizer and other things are not flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, and again, higher energy prices start creeping its way into transportation costs that are being, you know, passed on to consumers, that's going to affect them as well.
So what do you think? You think that inflation went up, prices are going up, and
Innovation
these are
for the
worrying
good of the nation.
numbers,
That is the
right?
purpose.
That's always worrying when the prices are creeping up. And so a lot of people are still criticizing this whole administration and the moves they make, right? The moves they make are not the best moves, right? So that's the issue that I always have, right? What's the problem? What's going on in the world? There's too much going on, right? And so we always gotta see what's happening in the world, right? Oh, I said I was gonna go to Artemis, right? Go to
I think just 44 minutes from now.
I said I was gonna watch our teammates and see how our teammates is doing. Right? Okay, give me 1 second. I said I was gonna check on our teammates, check on the mission, right? I said I was gonna check on our teammates. Uh, it's supposed to splash down soon. The mission to the moon. I thought they're not gonna land on the moon. They just circled the moon and went to the dark side of the moon. Right?
Currently traveling about 16,000 miles an hour. And you know why the Democrats keep losing? Integrity traveling about 16,000 miles an hour. Prop caution for taking a look. Now just about 5,100 miles from Earth. Splashdown scheduled 43 minutes from now. We're just 9.5 minutes away from the crew module service module separation. We are confirming. Integrity, we are assessing details, but so far looks like a good hot fire. We are confirming. Integrity, we are assessing details, but so far looks like a good hot fire. And Jackie Mahaffey to
I was just about to say that we had a good hot fire test of the thrusters in advance of the crew module service module separation that's coming up just 8.5 minutes from.
of the thrusters in advance of the crew module service module separation that's coming up in a rapid fire succession of critical activities on board that will lead to entry interface just 28 minutes from now, where the vehicle will enter the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 100,000 feet. The time of entry interface, 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time.
Our teammates is about to land soon. Is about to land. Our teammates is about to land on Earth. Let me just use the bathroom real fast, and I'll be right back. Okay. I'll be right back, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Our teammates is about to land on Earth. Coming from the moon. It's gonna land on the Pacific Ocean, right? It's actually gonna land on the Pacific Ocean.
Integrity's astronauts were awakened at mid-morning to begin their entry preparations. And propulsion officer now reports a good hot fire test in preparation for the crew module service module separation. We're now inside 41 minutes until splashdown.
Integrity Houston, we have confirmed a good CMRCS hot fire. And although we are not seeing GPS acquired yet, you can skip the troubleshooting steps in 157 for now.
Integrity copies. That GPS discussion indicating that we will be acquiring navigational data for Integrity through the Global Positioning System equipment on board. We just don't have it yet, but we will. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape to support its high-speed entry into the Earth's atmosphere. It, once again, will reach a peak speed of 24,661.21 miles an hour.
You're calling GPS. We at least have GPS 1 looking good on board.
We are confirming.
The guidance, navigation, and control officer here in Mission Control confirming that we have good lock on GPS data. We are on a communications link now through the tracking and data relay satellite system. Now, following splashdown, we're going to lose that link and go to what's called a VLDR, a very low data rate communications link. so that we can talk to the crew inside Integrity as they are on the water.
Integrity, confirm we do see good GPS.
We do too, especially GPS 1 is accepting in nav channels 1 and 3.
That GPS data is basically telling Integrity's onboard computers its position relative to the Earth, but its trajectory and its orientation according to flight dynamics and the guidance, navigation, and control officer is spot on. We have now armed the pyros for the crew module service module separation coming up less than 5 minutes from now. Once again, just 10 seconds after entry interface, we will see Integrity reaching its peak speed of 24,661.21 miles per hour. That will be just seconds before we begin a 6-minute blackout period.
Integrity, Houston. Your vehicle is in a good config for CMSM SEP and go.
Are you enjoying watching our team?
Houston, we see the same on board and copy go for CM raise.
That CM raise referred to as the slight firing of 19 seconds by Integrity's thrusters with a change in velocity of 9.9 feet per second, a slight nudge of the aft end of the vehicle so that it's tilted a bit upward, providing the final angle of attack as the vehicle enters the Earth's atmosphere.
So in 37 minutes.
This being the mitigating factor that will reduce heat loads on the heat shield as we reach a point downrange from the start of entry interface, some 1,701 nautical miles to the splashdown site. Integrity systems in excellent shape. We are currently 3,300 nautical miles left in this mission. Splashdown scheduled 36 minutes, 39 seconds from now.
Integrity, Houston. For the 2 enabled prop cautions, what happened is while the thrusters were firing, multiple pressure sensors on each of the strings diverged a bit from each other. Those limits look to be set pretty tight. We think it could happen again when the thrusters fire in the future, so we are going to suppress those messages.
We concur with suppress, not inhibit. Thank you.
That exchange between Jackie Mahaffey, our Capcom for tonight, and Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, indicating basically to ignore sensor data. All of Integrity's systems are in good shape. Now, coming up on about 90 seconds till the crew module, service module separation. All quiet here in Mission Control as we enter the most critical phase of the completion of this flight. All of the preparatory activities leading up to the vehicle entering the Earth's atmosphere just 21 minutes from now. Coming up on 1 minute. Mark, 1 minute till crew module, service module separation. And we have confirmation of crew module, service module separation, and a great view, albeit momentarily.
Houston, good stuff aboard.
Houston copies and concurs.
The European service module now separated from Integrity, a job well done.
Integrity, no action for the 4 CDH cautions. Those are SM related, not applicable.
Integrity.
So, with Integrity now flying free on its own for the remaining 32 minutes of this mission, next up, the raise burn, a 19-second firing of Integrity's thrusters.
GPS 2.
Integrity copies, good GPS 2.
Coming up on the 2-minute mark until the raise burn. Again, this is the final tweaking of the orientation of Integrity to put it in the right angle, if you will, the angle of
About
attack
to land.
that it will fly in during its entrance
That's
into the Earth's
countdown.
atmosphere. Entry interface now just 18 minutes, 25 seconds away. This is a visualization, but driven by real-time telemetry. This is the maneuvering of Integrity to the raise burn orientation. Just 2,800 miles from Earth.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Roger.
And we have completed the maneuver to the raise burn orientation. 1 minute away from the raise burn.
So JD Banks is on his way to Pakistan to do peace negotiations, right? He just the Iranian delegation just landed, and they're saying they're not gonna take any nonsense from the United States. They don't trust them. They're gonna negotiate in good faith, but they don't trust the United States. So we'll get back to our teammates, right? Our teammates will be landing in about 20 minutes now. So we'll get back to it. We'll keep it on in the background, and we'll keep an eye on it. And let's get back to some political news. Um, let's get back to some political news. So the delegation just arrived. The Iranian delegation just arrived in Pakistan, ready to negotiate a possible peace agreement with Iran and the United States and Israel.
So the final is now our trajectory for splashdown on Pacific 29 minutes from now is set. It will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat along the vehicle during entry interface.
Integrity Houston, heads up about comp coverage. When you form the 180 roll for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute below us. We copy.
So This is the Iranian delegation has arrived in Islamabad, Pakistan, to try to reach a peace agreement, which the world is watching. I mean, think about it. Did we have to bomb Iran in order to reach a peace deal? Wasn't there already a peace deal? And didn't Trump pull us out of the uh, JCPA, the Iran nuclear deal, they call it? We're already in a nuclear deal. So, I mean, why do we need a nuclear deal when we had a nuclear deal already? And so people are saying that the terms and conditions this time around are not as good as they were before, right? The conditions are not as good, and the U.S. military was embarrassed. Um, our diplomacy was embarrassed, and Israel keeps bombarding Lebanon indiscriminately and said that Lebanon was never part of it. And so Israel is doing whatever it wants. It's not listening to the United States. So how does the United States reign in Israel, right? How does the United States reign in Israel and get it to abide by any movement, right? I don't know. I mean, who will be the president? I saw somebody put this up. Wishful thinking, right? Wishful thinking, right? But I don't know if they'll get along. That's somebody's dream, right? But I don't think it's gonna work out, right? I don't think it will work out. They have two different perspectives, and they're both strong women. And I mean, AOC could be president, and uh, and Kamala Harris could be vice president again. I mean, who will be in which position? Would they get along with an all-female presidential run, right? With an all-female presidential run, um, uh, be possible? Would it be Kamala Harris and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez in the same team? This was somebody's dream, right? This was somebody's dream on X. I don't know if that's dream big, right? You could dream big, people. You could dream big all you want, but is it gonna happen? Would they be able to get along with each other? Um, would AOC and Kamala Harris be able to get along with each other? That's my question. This is somebody's pipe dream, right? This is somebody's pipe dream on X. Ocasio-Cortez for vice president. Harris, Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, I don't know if that can happen. That's somebody, definitely somebody's pipe dream. But everyone, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a blessed day. May God be with you. And will you give Kamala Harris another chance? for president? Do you recommend that she run for president? Put it in the comments below. Share, like the program, and the turbulent political times dictate what we decide, right? But I would say no. We need a fresh person with a fresh mind, and that's red hot right now. Which so I would say AOC could be the next presidential contender, but I've been wrong many times. So let's see. I'll let the people vote and the people decide who do they want to see. Put it in the comments below. Who do you want to see run for president in 2028? And what do you think about the Iran nuclear situation in Iran? What do you think? You think JD Vance will be able to handle it? And that's another presidential contender, right? JD Vance. Will he be able to handle negotiations? Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Have a good night.